The fluorescent lights of Boston General Hospital flickered softly as I stepped into the lobby, one hand on my 8-month belly, the other gripping a warm cup of Starbucks latte to steady my nerves. A routine prenatal checkup. That's all today was supposed to be. Quiet, predictable, safe. But fate doesn't warn you when it decides to rewrite your life. My breath caught before I even understood why. Standing near the reception desk, wrapped in the same arrogance I once tried to ignore, was Elias Langford, my ex-husband. His tailored navy coat, the polished shoes, the familiar tilt of his head, it all hit me like a punch I wasn't prepared for. And beside him, her, Veronica Langford, his mother, the woman who once looked me in the eyes and said I would never be worthy of their family name. The three of us froze, suspended in a moment too cruel to be real. Elias blinked first, eyes darting from my swollen belly to my trembling hand. Veronica, however, smiled, a thin, icy line that sliced deeper than any blade. "Well," she murmured, her voice dripping honey and venom, "life seems to have complicated itself for you, hasn't it, Madison?" My throat tightened. I stepped back, dizziness washing over me. The lobby blurred. My vision dimmed. The latte slipped from my fingers. A strong arm caught me before the floor did. "Careful," a calm voice said near my ear. I looked up into unfamiliar eyes, gray, steady, concerned. Dr. Adrian Mercer. A stranger, yet somehow the only person in the room who seemed to care whether I stood or shattered. Veronica stiffened when she saw who was holding me. Elias's jaw tightened. And in that moment, I understood something terrifying. My past wasn't done with me. It had just begun circling back. "Madison," Veronica said sharply, "we need to talk, now." But what she said next changed everything. Adrian's hand was steady on my arm as he guided me toward a nearby bench, but my legs still felt like they belonged to someone else. The air inside Boston General was warm, yet my skin prickled with a cold that came from somewhere deeper, somewhere old. "Breathe slowly," Adrian murmured, crouching beside me. His voice held the kind of calm that made you believe the world wasn't actually collapsing. But mine was. Elias took a hesitant step toward us, as if unsure whether he should act like the caring ex-husband or the man who left without looking back. His fiancée, tall, polished, wrapped in a beige wool coat, hovered behind him with a curiosity that felt invasive. Veronica, however, moved with purpose. Her heels clicked sharply against the floor, announcing her disapproval before she opened her mouth. "I suppose fainting is dramatic, even for you," she said, folding her arms. "Pregnancy can't erase a lack of dignity, Madison." Adrian's head snapped up, eyes narrowing. "Ma'am, she nearly collapsed. Maybe show some compassion." Veronica's lips tightened. "And you are?" "Someone who actually cares whether she's okay." A flicker of something, annoyance, maybe fear, crossed her face, not because of his words, but because she recognized the Mercer name. In Boston, everyone knew it. Elias shifted uncomfortably. "Mom, let's not do this here." But Veronica ignored him. She always did. "Madison," she said again, her tone turning colder. "There are things you need to hear. Things concerning your child." My heartbeat stumbled. "What are you talking about?" Her eyes swept my stomach with a critical precision, like she was inspecting merchandise rather than a human life. "You'll understand soon enough, but this conversation should not happen in a hallway." Adrian rose slowly, placing himself between us, subtle but unmistakably protective. "If you have something to say, you say it with respect, or you don't say it at all." Veronica looked at him like he was a fly that had landed on her jacket. "You have no idea what you're inserting yourself into, Dr. Mercer." "And you," he replied, "have no idea what she has been through." For the first time, Veronica's confidence wavered, only for a second, but I saw it. Then she exhaled sharply. "Fine. Madison, meet me at the Liberty Hotel tomorrow morning, alone. If you care about your future, you'll be there." What she revealed in that meeting would tear open every wound I tried to bury. The cold Boston wind slapped against my cheeks as I stepped out of the hospital, the city lights blurring through the sting of unshed tears. My breath fogged in the air, but the real weight pressing on my chest came from Veronica's words. If you care about your future, you'll be there. Future. As if she hadn't already stolen years of it. I tightened my coat around my belly and made my way toward the T-Line station. Every step echoed with memories I wished I could forget. Beacon Hill dinners where Veronica dissected everything from my posture to my education. Elias silently stirring his wine while pretending not to hear. Their voices still lived in my head louder than my own. By the time I reached my apartment in Brighton, my limbs felt heavy, like they were moving through water. The radiator buzzed with its usual uneven hum. A stack of unpaid bills sat on the kitchen counter, illuminated by the soft glow of the overhead light. I placed a trembling hand on my belly. "It's okay," I whispered. "We're okay. We just need to breathe." But the truth? We weren't okay. I opened my MacBook Pro to finish a client project, hoping work would pull me out of the storm inside my chest. Instead, an email from my former company glared back at me. Reminder: failure to settle your contract obligations may result in legal action. I felt the room tilt. Money, stress, pregnancy, and now Veronica dragging me into something I didn't ask for. My pulse hammered in my throat. I reached for the framed photo on the shelf. Me on a small sailboat near Cape Cod, laughing freely. Elias holding the camera. Before everything changed. Before I realized love doesn't survive when one person refuses to protect you. My phone buzzed. "Adrian, text me when you get home. I want to make sure you're safe." Safe. A word I hadn't felt in years. I typed back a quick thank you, but my hand shook too much to finish my sentence. Another message arrived before I could try again. "Adrian, Madison, whatever Veronica wants from you, be careful. The Langfords don't move without a motive." A shiver crawled up my spine, because deep down I already knew he was right. And the next morning at the Liberty Hotel, I would learn exactly what motive she had. Sleep didn't come that night. Every time I closed my eyes, the ghosts of my marriage clawed their way back into the room. By dawn, Boston's skyline glowed a soft gold outside my window. But inside me, everything still felt dim and bruised. As I brewed a weak cup of coffee, the past played itself like a reel I couldn't shut off. The Langford dinner table, mahogany, polished, intimidating. I remembered sitting across from Veronica in that Beacon Hill mansion, my fork barely touching the roasted salmon she insisted the chef prepare. Elias sat beside me, scrolling his phone under the table like a bored teenager. "So, Madison," Veronica said once, swirling her wine with surgical precision. "Remind me again, where did you get your degree?" "Ah, yes, a state university. Elias was accepted into Dartmouth, of course, a different level entirely." Her smile never reached her eyes. It rarely did. Elias didn't defend me. He rarely did. I remembered another night, just months into the marriage. I was working late on a UX project, my MacBook glowing on the dining table. Elias stood by the window, arms crossed. "Mom thinks you should quit," he said simply. I looked up, stunned. "Quit my job? Why?" "She thinks it would look better. For the family." The family. Not our family. His family. The distinction was never lost on me. And then came the night everything cracked. The night I found Veronica in our apartment, going through my desk drawers. She straightened her blazer, completely unapologetic. "Just checking what influence you have over Elias," she said coldly. "We can't risk you steering him away from his trajectory." Trajectory. Like he was a rocket she built, not a grown man who vowed to love me. Back in my apartment, the kettle clicked off, bringing me to the present. I rubbed my belly gently. "You deserved better than all of that," I whispered to my unborn child. And so did I. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Do not meet Veronica alone. She's hiding something you won't be ready for." My heart kicked hard. Before I could respond, Adrian texted too. Heading into surgery. Promise me you'll be careful today. I swallowed, because despite every warning, I still had to walk into the Liberty Hotel. The morning air cut sharp against my cheeks as I stepped outside, wrapped in a long coat that barely hid the swell of my 8-month belly. The city was waking, streets humming, steam rising from manholes, a delivery truck rumbling past with Amazon boxes stacked like towers. But my body felt heavier than all of it. I hadn't slept. I couldn't stop replaying that anonymous warning, do not meet Veronica alone. Yet I had no choice. Veronica Langford never delivered news without an agenda, and avoiding her only made things worse. On the T-line ride toward Beacon Hill, my phone buzzed again. Adrian, text me when you arrive. Even if I'm in surgery, I'll check. The unexpected warmth in that message curled around me like a blanket I didn't know I needed. Why did a man I barely knew care more than the one I married? When I reached the Liberty Hotel, a former prison turned luxury landmark, the cold sophistication of its stone facade sent a tremor down my spine. I pulled the glass door open slowly and froze. Adrian was already there. He stood near the lobby fireplace, coat draped over his arm, dark hair still damp from the morning. He looked out of place among the business elites swirling around with Mont Blanc folders and espresso shots. Yet somehow, he grounded the entire room. You shouldn't be here, I whispered, stunned. He shrugged lightly. You shouldn't be alone. I'll be fine. That's not the same thing. A pulse of emotion tightened my throat. Adrian, you have surgery. I asked a colleague to cover the first hour. His eyes softened. Madison, whatever she wants, it won't be kind. I know how people like the Langfords operate. I swallowed hard. Why are you doing this? His answer was simple. Too simple. Because someone should. Before I could respond, the elevator chimed. Veronica stepped out in a tailored black suit, pearls gleaming at her collarbone. Her gaze slid from me to Adrian and darkened. I said she should come alone, Veronica snapped. And I said she wouldn't, Adrian replied calmly. People turned, whispers stirred. Veronica's smile tightened into something poisonous. Very well, she said. Since you insist on bringing an audience. She leaned in, voice low, lethal. What I'm about to tell you concerns the paternity of your child. My knees nearly buckled. And then she said the sentence that shattered the ground beneath me. For a moment I couldn't breathe. Paternity. The word echoed through the marble lobby of the Liberty Hotel like a stone dropped into deep water. Adrian's hand hovered near my elbow, ready to steady me if I fell apart. Veronica, meanwhile, looked almost satisfied, as if she had waited months for this exact moment to strike where she believed I was weakest. I forced my voice out, thin and shaking. What do you mean, paternity? Veronica sighed dramatically, clasping her hands like she was delivering a eulogy. Elias has serious concerns, and frankly, so do I, considering your background. Adrian stiffened. Background? She was married to your son. You're implying infidelity without a shred of evidence. Oh, doctor, she said, her smile dripping poison. Infidelity rarely announces itself with evidence, but rumors? Those always exist, especially in families like ours. My stomach twisted. Veronica, you know I never. Do I? She cut in sharply. You refused every request for a prenatal test. You left our family without explanation, and then, like magic, you show up pregnant. I blinked, stunned. I left because Elias asked for time, because he said he needed space. You told him. She raised a manicured hand. I told him to protect himself. Adrian stepped forward, voice low with anger. You're trying to claim this child isn't Elias's to force her into giving up custody. I felt sick because suddenly the pieces clicked together. Why Elias had grown distant, Why Veronica avoided me for months. Why their lawyers contacted me last week. This wasn't concern. This was strategy. Tomorrow, Veronica continued, you will undergo a court-approved paternity screening. If you refuse, we will assume the worst and proceed with a custody petition. My pulse pounded in my ears. I'm 8 months pregnant. You can't force an invasive test. Oh, but we can strongly recommend it. And judges listen to the Langford name. Heat crawled up my spine, panic wrapped tight around my lungs, and then, like lightning, Adrian spoke.
Actually, judges also listen to medical negligence reports, especially when a prominent family pressures a high-risk mother into unnecessary procedures.
Veronica's eyes snapped toward him. Are you threatening me? He didn't blink. I'm telling you to back off. Her composure cracked, barely, but enough for me to see the fear beneath. She straightened her blazer. Madison, consider your options carefully. Your entire future depends on them. She stepped toward the exit, but before she reached the door, someone unexpected walked in. Someone who overheard everything and changed the war completely. The glass doors of the Liberty Hotel slid open with a soft hiss, letting in a gust of cold air, and a man I never expected to see again. Tall, sharp-jawed, carrying a leather portfolio against his chest, he froze when he spotted me. Caleb Rowan, Elias's former best friend, and the only person who ever told me I deserved better. His eyes dropped to my stomach, widening with shock. Madison? You're pregnant? Veronica stiffened instantly, the way a wolf might sense another predator entering its territory. This is a private matter, Caleb, she snapped. Caleb ignored her completely, something few people ever dared to do. He stepped closer, voice low. Madison, I didn't know. Elias told everyone. What did he tell them? Adrian demanded, stepping subtly between Caleb and Veronica. Caleb hesitated, then said the words that made my skin go cold. That Madison cheated, that the baby couldn't be his. That's why she left. My chest tightened painfully. Caleb, you know me. I do, he said softly. That's why I didn't believe him. Veronica clicked her tongue. Believe what you want. The truth will come out in the paternity test. Caleb's expression darkened. You mean the test you and Elias planned months ago? The one you pressured him into? He tapped the portfolio. I have emails, messages, screenshots. Elias admitted you orchestrated everything. Adrian let out a slow, disbelieving breath. You've been collecting evidence? Caleb nodded. Because I knew it would come to this. Elias isn't just lying about the baby. He's hiding much worse. Veronica's face blanched. You dare? Oh, I dare, Caleb cut in. I know about the shell accounts, the money you moved out of Langford Industries, and the threats you made to Madison's former employer. My stomach dropped. Threats? To my company? Caleb looked at me with regret. Veronica convinced the board you were a liability. She made them push you out. Elias signed off. A wave of betrayal hit me so hard I had to grip the back of a lobby chair. Veronica regained her composure with a practiced breath. Caleb, you don't know what you're talking about. But he did, and the room knew it. Caleb turned to me. Madison, you're not safe until this is exposed. All of it. I swallowed hard. Exposed how? He opened the portfolio. Inside was a single document, stamped with the emblem of the Massachusetts Attorney General's office, and that document had my name on it. My pulse thundered in my ears as Caleb handed me the document. The golden seal of the Massachusetts Attorney General gleamed under the lobby lights, official and unforgiving. My name, Madison Hale, was printed in bold on the first page. I swallowed. Why does the Attorney General have anything to do with me? Caleb exhaled slowly, rubbing the back of his neck. Because the investigation you didn't know existed involves you, and Elias, and Veronica. Veronica stepped forward sharply. You will hand that document back to me right now. Caleb didn't even flinch. You lost the right to demand anything the moment you forged signatures and threatened Madison's employer. Adrian's jaw clenched. What investigation? Caleb flipped a page open. Financial misconduct, fraud, and coercion of a private employee. He looked at me. Your forced resignation wasn't just unethical, it was potentially criminal. My throat tightened. I didn't know. I thought they just didn't want a pregnant woman on the team. No, Caleb said firmly. They were scared of crossing the Langfords, and Veronica used that fear. Veronica lifted her chin. You can't prove anything. Caleb smirked. I already did. You're not the only one who knows how to pull strings. I passed evidence to the AG weeks ago, and they're building a case. Her face drained of color. Adrian glanced at me, then at Caleb. Why bring this to Madison now? Because she deserves to know the truth before she walks into a custody war they can't win without manipulating her, Caleb replied. She needs protection. The room suddenly felt too small, too bright, too loud. A wave of dizziness washed over me, and Adrian reached instinctively for my arm. Sit down, he said softly. You're shaking. I sank into a leather chair, clutching the document like a lifeline and a weapon all at once. Caleb, I whispered. If the Attorney General is investigating them, will they retaliate? He hesitated, and that hesitation told me everything. They already are, he finally said. This paternity accusation is their smokescreen, their way of painting you unstable before the truth hits the media. My breath caught painfully. What do I do? Caleb crouched down, his voice low but steady. You fight back with us. Us, I echoed. Adrian stepped beside him. You're not alone, Madison. Not anymore. And just when I felt a spark of hope, the hotel manager rushed over with news that made my stomach drop. The hotel manager hurried toward us, breathless and pale, clutching a walkie-talkie against his chest. Miss Hale, I'm so sorry to interrupt, but there's an urgent situation involving your vehicle. My stomach knotted instantly. My car? What happened? He motioned anxiously toward the elevators. Please come with me. It's easier to explain in person. Adrian didn't wait for permission. He positioned himself at my side like a shield. Caleb followed, jaw tight. Veronica trailed behind us, muttering under her breath, irritation simmering in every step. The elevator ride to the underground garage felt like descending into a storm. The moment the door slid open, a blast of frigid air hit us. The manager pointed toward a dim corner near the exit ramp. My Toyota sedan, already old and dented from years of Boston winters, was now sitting crooked, its driver's side door wide open. But the door wasn't what froze me. It was the shattered glass glittering across the concrete like ice, and the crumpled paper shoved beneath the wiper. Adrian rushed ahead and checked inside the car. Madison, nothing was stolen. Your purse is still here. Caleb crouched near the window frame. This was intentional. Someone wanted to send a message. My throat tightened. A message about what? He didn't need to answer. I already knew. Veronica's heels clicked across the concrete as she approached, though her expression betrayed something I rarely saw in her: nervousness. Madison, she said, voice thin. You need to calm yourself. Stress is dangerous in your condition. I stared at her. Did you do this? Her eyes widened, offended. Don't be ridiculous. I'm not unhinged. Caleb pulled the note from the windshield and unfolded it slowly. His face darkened. What does it say? Adrian demanded. Caleb hesitated, glancing at me with a mixture of anger and pity. Then he read it aloud. Drop the investigation. Drop the custody fight. Or next time, it won't be the car. My knees wobbled, and Adrian grabbed my arm before I could collapse. The garage spun around me, the smell of gasoline and cold concrete choking me.
Someone had followed me. Someone knew what I planned. Someone was willing to threaten a pregnant woman to protect the Langford name. Caleb exhaled shakily. Madison, this isn't just about Elias anymore. He turned the note toward the light. In the corner was a single signature, and when I saw whose it was, my blood ran cold.
Caleb slowly turned the note so I could see the signature. Small, slanted, and chillingly familiar. Elias. A hollow ringing filled my ears. My ex-husband, the man who once kissed my forehead and promised to love me for the next 50 years, had just threatened me and my unborn child. Not metaphorically, not emotionally. Literally. In writing. Adrian swore under his breath, low, controlled, furious. This is criminal intimidation. We need to call the police. Caleb shook his head. Not yet. If we go to the police now, the Langfords will spin it. They'll deny everything. Claim Madison staged this for attention. Their PR team is ruthless. I gripped the edge of the car, trying to steady my breathing. But he signed it. How could he explain that? Veronica stepped forward, frantic for the first time. He didn't sign anything. My son would never do this. You're being manipulated. All of you. But her voice wavered. And that was enough to expose the truth. She wasn't confident. She was terrified. Adrian held the note up to the garage light. This is Elias's handwriting. I've seen him sign medical papers before. Veronica's face went white. Caleb added, the AG's office already suspects Elias is involved in coercion. This will bury him if it goes public. My heartbeat pounded against my ribs. So what do we do? Caleb crouched in front of me, lowering his voice. We need to gather more evidence. Enough that when this goes to court, or the media, the Langfords can't bury it. Adrian gently touched my shoulder. But first, you need to be somewhere safe. You're clearly being followed. I don't have anywhere else to go, I whispered. Yes, Adrian said softly. You do. Stay at my place tonight. It's secure. Top floor, doorman, cameras everywhere. They won't get near you. Veronica stiffened. Absolutely not. Madison, you will not go home with a strange man. Have you lost your mind? I rounded on her, something fierce rising in me. You don't get to control me anymore. Her mouth snapped shut, eyes wide. For the first time in years, I saw fear in her instead of causing it. And just as I turned to leave with Adrian and Caleb, the elevator dinged behind us. Elias stepped out, eyes wild, face twisted, and he was coming straight toward me. Elias's footsteps echoed across the concrete, sharp and unsteady, like a man whose life was slipping through his fingers. His eyes, usually polished with charm, were frantic, red around the edges, darting from the shattered glass to the note in Adrian's hand. Madison, he said breathlessly. Don't listen to them. I didn't write that. I swear I didn't. But the tremor in his voice told a different story. Adrian stepped between us instantly, standing like a wall I didn't know I needed until that moment. Stay back, Elias. She doesn't want to talk to you. You don't speak for her, Elias snapped, voice cracking with something ugly and desperate. Madison, please, just hear me out. Caleb moved closer, arms crossed. Funny, Elias. That's not what your note said. Elias's face twisted. That wasn't me. Someone forged it. Someone's trying to sabotage. Sabotage who, exactly? I asked, my voice steady despite the storm inside me. Me? Or the perfect Langford image? He opened his mouth, closed it, then tried again. Madison, you left things unresolved. And Mom, she just wants order. You know how she is. That was the wrong sentence. So wrong it made my skin crawl. I stepped out from behind Adrian, anger burning through the fear. Elias, your mother humiliated me, manipulated my job, tried to erase me from your life, and you let her. He flinched, guilt flickering too quickly to hide. Adrian spoke coldly. And now there's a criminal investigation. Convenient timing for threats to appear. Elias swallowed hard. There shouldn't be an investigation. My mother's done nothing wrong. She's protecting our legacy. Caleb stared at him in disbelief. Do you even hear yourself? You sound like her puppet. That hit him. His jaw locked, masking the sting. I pressed a hand to my stomach as a dull ache pulsed through it, stress building, pressure tightening. Elias, if you ever cared about me or this baby, you will leave us alone. He looked devastated for a moment. Then something shifted. A hardness, a calculation. You're making a mistake, he said quietly. A mistake that will cost you custody. Adrian's expression turned lethal. Try it, and see how fast it backfires. Elias took a step back, breathing ragged, eyes darting around like he expected someone to rescue him. But no one did, not even Veronica, and just as he turned to leave, his phone rang. He glanced at the screen, and his face drained of all color, because the caller ID flashing there was the Attorney General's office. Elias stared at his phone, as though it had turned into a live grenade. His thumb trembled over the screen, his face draining from pink to chalk white. For a moment, he didn't even seem to breathe.
Are you going to answer it?
Caleb asked, arms folded, voice razor sharp. Elias swallowed.
I can't.
Veronica pushed past us, snatching the phone from his hand with the reflexes of a woman who had spent decades controlling every firestorm. He will not be speaking to anyone until I review. But when she saw the second line of text on the caller ID, Attorney General, urgent follow-up regarding misconduct inquiry, her fingers twitched. For the first time since I had known her, Veronica Langford looked breakable. She forced the phone into Elias's rigid hand. Decline it. I'll handle this. Adrian stepped forward, voice calm but lethal. You can't handle a state investigation, Mrs. Langford. Not with intimidation, not with money, and not with lies. Her head snapped toward him. Do not presume to lecture. Your family has crossed lines that can't be uncrossed. Her lips trembled, just slightly, enough to betray how deeply she understood that truth. Elias finally answered the call, putting it on speaker before Veronica could stop him. This is Elias Langford speaking. A firm female voice filled the garage. Mr. Langford, this is Special Counsel Dana Whitaker with the Attorney General's office. We've received new evidence relevant to your case. You and your mother are required to appear for questioning this week. Veronica blanched. That's impossible. We're cooperating. With respect, Mrs. Langford, Whitaker replied coolly. This directive is not optional. And given the nature of the new material, we strongly advise that neither of you contact Ms. Madison Hale in any capacity. My breath hitched. Furthermore, she continued, any attempts to influence or intimidate Ms. Hale may result in immediate legal action. Elias's eyes flicked to me, fear, guilt, something darker. Caleb snatched the phone.
Thank you, Counsel Whitaker. Madison will comply fully.
Good. We'll be in touch.
The call ended. Silence pulsed through the garage like a living thing.
Veronica's perfectly polished composure shattered. You think you've won, she hissed at me, but you have no idea what you've started. I steadied my breath. The truth. That's all I started. Adrian slipped an arm behind me as another sharp ache tightened across my stomach. And then, my water broke. Right there on the cold concrete floor. For a split second, no one moved. The sound of fluid hitting concrete echoed louder than any scream could. Then the pain hit, sharp, deep, consuming. My God, Madison! Adrian lunged forward, catching me as my knees buckled. Caleb shouted toward the elevator. We need medical staff, now! But Veronica was frozen, horror carved across her face. She can't be in labor now. This is too soon. Adrian snapped at her. Labor doesn't wait for your convenience, Mrs. Langford. Another contraction tore through me, stealing my breath. My vision blurred, the cold of the garage rising through my shoes.
My hands grasped for something, anything, until I felt Adrian's steady grip. "You're okay," he murmured. "I've got you. Just breathe. Slow, Madison, slow." Elias hovered uselessly behind him, panic twisting his features. Should we drive her? I can take her in my car." "No," Adrian barked. "You're not touching her." Within seconds, hotel security rushed over with blankets. One knelt and called 911 while the other tried to clear space around us. But my body didn't care about protocols. The pressure intensified. My fingers curled into Adrian's coat. "Something's wrong. It's too early. The baby." His voice softened. "Preterm labor happens, but you're not alone. I'm here. Caleb's here. We're getting you help." Veronica finally snapped out of her stupor, stepping closer, hands trembling. "Madison, please, let me help." Her voice cracked, and somehow that rattled me more than the pain. But another contraction ripped through me, stealing any chance to respond. The wail of sirens echoed into the garage. EMTs burst through the doors, rolling a stretcher toward us. Adrian helped lift me onto it, never breaking contact with my hand. "She's high risk," he told the medics. 32 weeks. Contractions started about 2 minutes ago, blood pressure rising. They nodded, working quickly, oxygen mask, monitors, urgent commands exchanged in clipped tones. As they wheeled me toward the ambulance, Elias tried to follow. Security blocked him. "Sir, you need to stay back." He looked at me, destroyed. "Madison, please, don't shut me out." But the doors closed before I could speak. Inside the ambulance, Adrian climbed in beside me without hesitation. As the vehicle lurched forward, blue lights flashing across his face, he tightened his grip on my hand. "Madison," he said quietly, "there's something I need to tell you before we reach the hospital." And what he said next changed everything I thought I knew about him. The ambulance rattled through downtown Boston, sirens screaming above us, the blue lights strobing across the metal interior. I tried to focus on breathing, but panic curled tight around every contraction. Adrian leaned close, his voice steady despite the chaos. "Madison, there's something I should have told you earlier, something about why I stepped in the moment I saw Elias." I blinked through the haze. "Adrian, this isn't the time." "It has to be," he said quietly, "before things go any further." The EMT adjusted my oxygen mask, calling out vitals. "Blood pressure rising, get a line in." But Adrian didn't look away from me. "I know the Langfords," he said. "Far more than you realize." A cold shiver rippled through me. "What do you mean?" He exhaled, the weight of years pressing into his breath. "My mother. She wasn't just pressured by powerful people. She was destroyed by them. The family that engineered it." He paused, eyes darkening. "Was the Langfords." My heartbeat stuttered. "What?" He nodded. "Your ex-husband's father, Charles Langford, covered up a malpractice lie that ruined her career. She was a brilliant surgeon, but Charles needed a scapegoat, someone expendable." His jaw clenched. "Someone who wasn't from a powerful family." Another contraction tore through me, and he steadied my shoulders as the EMTs counted through the pain. "Breathe, Madison. Stay with me." When the wave subsided, I whispered, "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" "Because this isn't about revenge," he said softly. "I stepped in because you were alone. Because I saw what they were doing to you, what they once did to her. And I swore I would never let them destroy someone else the way they destroyed my mother." Emotion tightened my throat. Somewhere between the agony of labor and the terror of betrayal, a strange warmth bloomed. Trust. Real, terrifying trust. "I'm not letting anything happen to you," Adrian added. "Or your baby. Not while I'm breathing." The ambulance swayed sharply as we turned into the emergency bay. EMTs flung open the doors, voices urgent. "Clear the way! High-risk labor!" Adrian squeezed my hand. "You're strong. You'll get through this." But the moment they lifted me onto the hospital gurney, a new voice boomed down the corridor. "Stop! She's my wife. She can't deliver without me." Elias.
He had followed us, and he wasn't alone. The ER hallway exploded into motion, nurses rushing, monitors blaring, the rolling thunder of gurney wheels echoing against white tile. My contractions tightened like a vice, but the moment I heard Elias's voice slicing through the chaos, my blood turned to ice. "Stop! She's my wife! She can't deliver without me!" Adrian stiffened beside the gurney, his body instantly forming a barrier between us. "You're not her husband anymore," he said sharply, "and you're not coming near her." Elias pushed forward anyway, wild-eyed, hair disheveled, chest heaving. Behind him, Veronica stormed in, snapping at security like they were her personal staff. "Stand aside. My son has every legal right." "No, he doesn't," Caleb said, appearing from the entrance, breathless, holding a stack of documents. "And after today, he may not even have visitation rights." The nurses exchanged glances, recognizing trouble when they saw it. Elias jabbed a shaking finger toward Caleb. "You betrayed me. You're siding with her? Over me?" Caleb didn't flinch. "I'm siding with the truth." Another contraction ripped through me, forcing a cry from my throat. Adrian leaned close, gripping my hand. "Look at me, Madison. Focus on your breathing. Don't waste a single second on them." But the shouting escalated. Elias. "I deserve to be there when my child is born." Caleb. "It's not your child, Elias." A silence fell so fast it rang. Veronica whipped toward Caleb, horrified. "You don't know what you're talking about." But she knew he did. The truth vibrated in the air, undeniable, poisonous, explosive. Elias stumbled back a step. What do you mean?" Before anyone could answer, a doctor rushed over. "We need to get her into delivery now. She's dilating fast." Adrian nodded, brushing hair from my forehead. "Go, I'll be right behind you." As they pushed me toward the double doors of the delivery wing, Elias lunged forward again. "Madison, you can't let them turn you against me. We can fix this. Please!" I turned my head, meeting his eyes through a haze of pain. "Elias, you broke this long before today." The doors slammed shut between us. Inside the delivery room, the overhead lights blazed white, nurses scrambling around me. Adrian entered seconds later, just as my monitor began beeping erratically. "We're losing fetal stability. Prepare for an emergency intervention." The delivery room erupted into controlled chaos. Bright surgical lights flared above me, casting everything in sharp, unforgiving clarity. Nurses flew back and forth, snapping gloves on, adjusting monitors, calling out vitals that sounded dangerously wrong. "Fetal heart tones dropping. 110. 98. 92. My entire body shook, not just from the contractions, but from terror. A deep, bone-level terror I'd never felt before. Adrian was at my side in seconds, gripping my hand with a steadiness I clung to like air. "Madison, listen to me. You're not alone. You can do this." A doctor approached, the attending OB, Dr. Lawson, her eyes focused and urgent. "We need to act quickly. You're fully dilated, but the baby's heart rate is unstable. We're prepping for an assisted delivery, possibly an emergency C-section." "What does that mean?" I gasped, voice cracking. "Is my baby? "We're not losing this child," Dr. Lawson said firmly. "Not on my watch." Another contraction tore through me, violent and overwhelming. I cried out, body arching off the bed. Adrian held my shoulders, guiding me back down gently. "Breathe, Madison. Follow my voice." His voice, deep, steady, anchored me when the world spun. A nurse placed an oxygen mask on me. "Baby's not getting enough oxygen. This will help both of you." The room beeped, flashed, pulsed. I heard footsteps outside, shouting. Elias's voice again, muffled through the door. Security arguing back. Veronica demanding access. Everything blurred, but Adrian's presence cut through it all. "If anything happens to me," I whispered. "Nothing is happening to you," he said fiercely. "You hear me?
I didn't lose my mother. I'm not losing you. Tears stung my eyes, not from fear this time, but from the raw conviction in his voice. He wasn't comforting me because it was his job. He cared deeply. Dr. Lawson moved into position. Madison, when I tell you to push, you push with everything you have. We're going to bring your baby into the world. The pressure built, massive, primal, unstoppable. Now, she commanded. I pushed, screamed, shook. The world tunneled. One more, hard as you can. I pushed again. And then the monitors blared a sound that made every soul in the room freeze. The baby's heartbeat disappeared from the screen. For a heartbeat, the room fell into an impossible silence. Then the alarms erupted, high, shrill, merciless. "Fetal heart rate absent," a nurse cried. My vision tunneled, black creeping in at the edges. My entire body trembled uncontrollably. "No, no, no, please, please," Dr. Lawson snapped into command. "We're doing an emergency C-section. Now, move!" The team sprang into motion. One nurse ripped away the oxygen mask, replacing it with a higher flow canister. Another pushed medications into my IV. The bed's side rails slammed up as they swung me toward the surgical doors. Adrian ran beside us, his hand locked around mine. "Madison, stay with me," he urged, voice cracking for the first time. "Listen to me. Your baby is still here. We're going to bring them back. Do you hear me?" I couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. Tears streamed into my hair as the pain blurred into panic. "Prep OR3!" someone shouted ahead. "Call NICU! Notify anesthesia, stat!" Every voice was sharp, urgent, terrifying. The fluorescent light streaked above me as they sprinted down the hallway, my body jolting with every turn. I heard Veronica screaming somewhere behind us, Elias shouting my name, security restraining them both. But it all sounded far away, like I'd fallen beneath water. The OR doors burst open. Cold air hit my skin. Too bright, too white. Adrian squeezed my hand one more time. "I'm right here. I won't leave you." A nurse pulled him back. "Sir, you can't come in. She's going under." "No!" My voice broke as I reached for him. "Please, don't!" He fought against the staff, desperation tearing through his composure.
"Let me stay with her. She needs someone she trusts."
"I'm sorry, doctor. Protocol." They forced him out as the door slammed shut. The anesthesiologist lowered a mask toward my face. "Madison, you're going to sleep now. We'll take care of you and your baby." "I'm scared," I whispered. Dr. Lawson leaned over me, eyes fierce.
"Don't you dare give up. Not after everything you survived."
The mask lowered, my breathing slowed, the last thing I heard before darkness swallowed me. "Incision ready, starting the operation." Then, faintly, a newborn cry, or maybe just my imagination. When I woke again, hours later, the first face I saw wasn't a doctor. It was the last person I wanted in the room. The world returned slowly, like rising from deep water. My eyelids felt heavy, my body numb, my throat dry. A faint antiseptic smell clung to the air. Machines beeped steadily beside me. Hospital. I'd made it through the surgery. My hand twitched weakly, searching instinctively for something, someone, but finding only the cool sheet. "Madison?" The voice cut through the fog. Familiar, wrong, unwelcome. I forced my eyes open. Elias sat beside my bed. He looked wrecked, hair disheveled, shirt wrinkled, eyes rimmed red like he hadn't slept in years. But beneath all that exhaustion simmered something else. Guilt, panic, maybe desperation. What are you doing here?" My voice was barely a whisper. He leaned forward, elbows on his knees. "They wouldn't tell me anything. I needed to know you were alive." I flinched internally at the word needed. It felt counterfeit, too late, Too convenient. "How's the baby?" I croaked. He swallowed hard. "Alive. In the NICU, but stable. They said your surgery saved both of you." Relief washed over me so violently I had to shut my eyes. My baby was alive. Alive. When I opened them again, Elias was staring at me, not with love, but with a kind of pleading I didn't recognize. "Madison," he whispered, "I never meant for any of this. I didn't know my mother was pushing things so far. I didn't know she was threatening your employer, or Caleb, or—" "Stop," I said weakly. "You knew enough, and you let it happen." He winced. I was scared. She controls everything, the company, the board, the family. "And you let her control you," I cut in, my voice gaining strength. "Even if it destroyed me." Silence. He reached for my hand, and instinctively I pulled away. His face crumpled. "I'm not the enemy, Madison," he whispered. "I want to make this right." I laughed, a sharp, broken sound. "You sent me a death threat, Elias." His eyes widened.
I didn't. I swear on my life, I didn't write that note.
I stared at him. Then who did? Before he could answer, the door swung open. Adrian stood there, scrubs on, dark circles under his eyes, chest rising and falling with the force of someone who'd run to get here. But his expression shifted when he saw Elias at my bedside. Cold, controlled, protective.
"Get away from her," Adrian said. "Now."
Elias rose slowly.
"She needs to hear the truth."
Adrian's jaw tightened.
"Then I'll tell her."
Elias froze. "Adrian, don't." "Because," Adrian said quietly, "the handwriting on that threat note belongs to someone neither of us expected." Elias went still, his breath hitching as if Adrian had struck him. My heart thudded painfully against my ribs. "What do you mean, someone neither of us expected?" I whispered. Adrian didn't answer immediately. He stepped inside, closing the hospital door behind him with a soft but final click. The room felt suddenly smaller, too tight to hold the weight of whatever he was about to say. He met my eyes first. The handwriting on the note wasn't Elias's. Caleb had it analyzed by a forensic specialist he knows. Then Adrian turned to Elias. "Tell her who else had access to your personal documents, your signature templates, your work files." Elias's shoulders slumped, his expression crumbling. "No, she wouldn't. She wouldn't do that." My pulse spiked. "Who? Elias, who?" He dragged a shaking hand down his face. "My fiancée, Lila." The room tilted slightly. Adrian's voice hardened. "She forged the threat. She broke into your car to send the message, not because of Madison, because she was protecting herself." Elias staggered back a step, as if the truth physically hit him. "Lila? But she loved me. She said she only wanted stability, a future." "She wanted your inheritance," Adrian cut in, "and she needed Madison out of the picture to secure it." It made horrible sense. Lila, perfect smile, perfect ambition, perfectly positioned to benefit from Madison disappearing quietly. Elias whispered, "She told me the AG's investigation wasn't real. She said Caleb faked everything. She said—" "That woman lied to you from the beginning," Adrian said, "and now we can prove it." My lungs struggled for air as I processed it all.
"So Lila tried to scare me into dropping everything," I said softly. "The custody fight, the investigation, my entire future."
Elias's voice broke.
"Madison, I swear, I didn't know. I didn't know she was capable of—"
"But you believed her lies," I said quietly. "Over me, over the truth." He closed his eyes, and for the first time, I saw the boy inside the man. Lost, weak, shaped by a family that never taught him how to love without fear. Adrian stepped closer to my bedside.
The AG's office already contacted Caleb. Lila's being questioned. The note is evidence. This changes everything for your custody case, and for theirs. A knock sounded at the door. Sharp, urgent. The nurse peeked in. Miss Hale, the Attorney General's investigators are here. They want to speak with you privately. Behind her stood 2 agents in formal suits,
And the woman in front, Special Counsel Dana Whitaker, looked straight at me and said, "Miss Hale, it's time you heard the full truth about the Langford family." Special Counsel Dana Whitaker stepped into the room with an air of quiet certainty, like someone who had seen the worst of powerful families and refused to bow to any of them. She pulled a chair beside my bed. "Miss Hale," she began, "you've been caught in a storm the Langford family created. But you need to know something. We've been investigating them for months, and thanks to new evidence, the tides have completely turned." My heartbeat steadied, each word tightening the knot of fear, then loosening it again. Whitaker continued. "Lila Rowan has confessed. She admitted forging the threat note, staging the break-in, and acting under pressure from Veronica Langford to remove you from the narrative. Her words, not mine." Elias sat heavily in the visitor chair, head in his hands. The reality of what he'd allowed, what he'd enabled, settled over him like a weight he couldn't escape. "And as for Veronica," Whitaker said flatly, "we have enough evidence of financial coercion, workplace interference, and attempted custodial manipulation to issue charges." A tear slipped down my cheek, not from sadness, but from something warmer, something like justice. Whitaker turned to Elias. "You are advised to retain separate counsel. Your involvement remains under review." He nodded numbly. "I understand." Then she faced me again, her voice softened. "Miss Hale, you are safe now, and you have full custody of your newborn. No contest, no hearings, no interference." The breath I released was one I'd been holding for nearly a year. After the investigators left, the room fell quiet, soft, human. Elias looked at me with eyes full of regret. "Madison, I don't expect forgiveness, but I'm sorry for everything." I nodded, not out of reconciliation, but closure. We moved forward separately, for the best. He accepted it with a broken whisper, then walked out of my life. Minutes later, Adrian appeared in the doorway, holding a tiny swaddled bundle, our baby, small but strong, a faint beeping monitor attached to her blanket. "You ready to meet someone?" he asked gently. He placed her in my arms, warm, perfect, breathing. I looked up at him, tears shining. "We made it." He brushed a hand against my cheek. "You made it, and I'm here for everything that comes next, if you'll have me." My heart, after everything, finally felt safe enough to open. "Yes," I whispered. "Stay." Adrian smiled, kissed my forehead, and wrapped us both in his arms as sunlight streamed through the window. And that was the day Madison Hale got everything she was denied. Freedom, justice, and the beginning of a love that finally chose her back. All right, my wonderful friends. If you're still here with me until this very last moment, then something in Madison's journey must have touched your heart in a quiet, personal way. And maybe, just maybe, you saw a piece of yourself in her strength, her fear, or her courage to rise again. Her story reminds us of a truth the Stoics understood long before we did. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Real strength begins within. Marcus Aurelius. Madison didn't win because life was fair. She won because she refused to let cruelty define her. She found the courage to say, enough. To choose peace over chaos, truth over fear, and love that protected her rather than wounded her. And that is something every one of us can carry forward. Healing begins when we choose ourselves. If this story made you feel something, hope, strength, or even the reminder that you deserve better, then don't leave quietly. Stay with us, talk with us, grow with us. Hit the like button so we know you're here. Share this video with someone who's fighting their own silent battle. And subscribe
so we can keep walking through these stories of resilience together. Because you matter, and your story isn't over yet. This story you've just experienced is a work of fiction, created solely for emotional storytelling and inspirational purposes. None of the characters, events, or situations are based on real people or real legal cases. While the emotions and challenges reflect struggles many individuals face, every detail has been carefully crafted for narrative impact. Our goal is to offer healing, reflection, and connection, not to represent factual events. Please enjoy this content as entertainment, and remember that any similarities to actual persons or situations are purely coincidental. If the themes in this story resonate with your personal life, consider reaching out to trusted friends, professionals, or support resources. Thank you for watching, for feeling with us, and for allowing these stories to be part of your journey. Your presence and support mean more than you know.